Former Vice President Dick Cheney and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Liz Cheney teaming up to write a brand new book, Exceptional: Why the World Needs a Powerful America. And right now, Vice President Cheney and Liz Cheney are here to go on the record. And I know both names are on the cover, both of it. First of all, was she bossy to work with, Mr. Vice President?
She was, but that's all right. She earned it.
She earned it? All right, good. Anyway, nice to see both of you. All right, let me start with you, Mr. Vice President. What do you mean by exceptional? What does that term mean?
Well, it's that the United States has played a very special role in history, certainly since the beginning of World War II. Exceptional in the sense that the United States has been the prime defender of freedom worldwide, has liberated more people than any other nation in the history of mankind, and that's a role that it had and a belief that our leaders had, starting certainly with FDR and Harry Truman, but all the way on a bipartisan basis through Jack Kennedy and Nixon and the Fords and Ronald Reagan until now. When we get to Barack Obama, and he does not hold the view that America is the exceptional nation.
How do you know that, Liz? You're also a co-writer on that. How do you know that President Obama does not hold that view?
You know, you just have to listen to his speeches. You just have to see what he has said himself. He went to the United Nations and said, any world order that elevates one nation above others cannot long survive. When he was asked about American exceptionalism, he sort of equated it to Greek exceptionalism and British exceptionalism. And then, of course, you look at his own writings and you look at his policies. And he has spent a good deal of this presidency doing everything he can to diminish America's role in the world, to withdraw, to limit our power and influence. And his ideology seems to be very much one of America as a malign force in the world, rather than looking back at the history. And that's why we started in World War II, really to begin to lay out, this is the truth about what America has accomplished in the world, and this is the role we have a duty to play.
Now, I assume that you agree, Mr. Vice President, because you're a co-author with your job. But why do you think President Obama has that view?
I can't explain it. It seems to me that it's against everything his own party has stood for in the international arena with respect to those years. I don't think FDR, Harry Truman, or Jack Kennedy would recognize the foreign policy of a man like Barack Obama.
What is his foreign policy? How do you describe it?
Well, if you look at, just take a specific example with respect to the Iranian deal. In that process, he is setting up a situation which Iran is going to have a path to nuclear weapons. They're going to get over $100 billion. They're lifting the embargo on ballistic missile trade and on conventional weapons. At the same time that he's absolutely turning his back on our friends in the region, the Israelis, the Saudis, the Emirates, the Jordanians, the Egyptians. They're all friends of the United States. We've worked with them closely in the past. He is setting up a situation that significantly enhances the threat and the danger to our friends and allies in the region. It's an operation, in effect, that he spent a lot of time sucking up to the Iranians, trying to build relationships there. And in many cases, for example, the Syrian Red Line, we believe that the reason he did not do what he said he would do when Assad crossed the Red Line was because of his concern for the Iranians. The relationship between the Syrians and the Iranians led him to back off, in effect, and not carry through on his threat.
All right. Well, this is obviously a very important election for a lot of reasons. Liz, you worked at the State Department. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, she agrees to the Iranian deal, but she's also been she's haunted, at least tonight, about emails. What's your thought on this emails in terms of her campaign?
I think she's got a real problem. I find it baffling that she would have determined. I can't imagine who advised her that you could conduct your business as Secretary of State on a personal, private email server. I can't imagine also, on what legal basis she was advised that she could clean the server, that she could get rid of emails, delete them while they were under subpoena. Across the board, she's got very significant problems. You've now got these investigations underway, but the bottom line is we now know there was classified information on the server. We now know that she was, in fact, engaging in the exchange of classified information on this, email server stored in a bathroom in Denver, or in her house as well. And there's just simply no way you can do that without putting our security at risk.
Does this mean, do you think, Mr. Vice President, since you've been involved in a lot of presidential races, do you expect Vice President Biden to jump in?
I do. I think Joe's not going to be able to resist the temptation. He's always wanted to be president. He's run twice before. It's the only opportunity he's going to have.
Would he be a good president?
Well, he and I disagree on an awful lot of things. He's a liberal Democrat. I'm a conservative Republican, so probably not much. I would expect, well, he's been part and parcel to the Obama policies, basically, just as she has. He has as vice president, and she's been very much a part of it as Secretary of State. So I worry that with Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, for that matter, we'd have a continuation of the same kind of foreign policy that Barack Obama's put in place.
Okay, here's the fun question. Would Donald Trump, would he be interested in American exceptionalism as sort of outlined in your book? Where's Donald Trump on this?
I don't have a clue. I've never met the gentleman.
You've never met Donald Trump?
Nope, never have.
Come on, you must be following this race, right?
Well,
closely?
I'm watching with great interest, but
why are you watching with great interest? Why do you
because our book, in fact, is a reflection of our concerns. A belief that it's important that front and center in this campaign and for our party be concerned about national security, the kinds of things we've talked about in this book. We think that ought to be the main priority for the next administration, and so that's why we wrote the book. We're not in the business at this stage of evaluating candidates on how they would or wouldn't do with respect to those issues.
But nonetheless, it's always fun. It's sort of a parlor game that we all do have. We can't resist. Anyway, brand new book, Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, Exceptional, Why the World Needs a Powerful America. Thank you both very much. And the book's out today.
Out today.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greta.
Good to see you, Greta.